And we are live. Hello, everybody. This is Steve Style Boxing, joined by Boxing Wave. What's up, Boxing Wave?
What's going on? What's going on? Finally doing this collabo that we've been meaning to do for a long time.
Yes. Hopefully, we get to do this every Sunday afternoon. We'll go ahead and swap channels when we do this. We'll do it one week. Obviously, next week we'll try and do it on Boxing Wave's channel, and we'll just go from there. We have no fancy name or something. It's just titled Boxing Talk for now. If anybody has recommendations, leave them on the comment section. But let's go ahead and talk about this boxing this last weekend. Premier Boxing Champions. Boxing Wave, let's talk about the first fight real quick. Andy Lee versus Peter Quillin. First of all, I want your thoughts on Peter Quillin not making weight. What are your general thoughts about that and the actual fight itself?
I was very disappointed with Peter Quillin. For him, first of all, I thought he was pretty lucky for him to get a shot this quick. Okay, Saunders backing out, not taking the fight, and him getting an opportunity. He just vacated the title. Him getting an opportunity so fast, and for him to go in there and never make weight is pretty disrespectful, in my opinion. Somebody else definitely should have gotten the opportunity. And I didn't read the article, but just a few minutes ago, I saw there was an article saying that he doesn't even want to go to Ireland to fight him in a rematch now. So, which is crazy. I'm like, all right, listen, this is not cash talk here. This is just straight. Listen, you didn't make weight. You didn't win the fight. Why should you be, in charge of the terms of, where the fight should be the next, if they have a rematch?
Right.
So, the fight was a great fight, but as far as him not making weight, and we seeing this pattern now with the PBC thing. Broner didn't make weight and having all these not making weight, but having all these catch weights. Danny Garcia fighting at 143. This is second time in a row. For him not defending his title, it's too much going on, man. The fights are great. And someone said to me on Twitter yesterday, listen, they don't even care about the title. They just care about seeing the fights. And, people like you and I and, some diehards really are disappointing with that. But there's a lot of fans that just don't care. They just want to see the fights. They don't really care if it's a title fight or not. So, I don't know. I think I could go both ways with that. I actually didn't go to this fight because it wasn't a title fight. So, that's how I feel.
Well, that's close to your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah, Barclay fights, I always go. I always try to support. My thing is, I'm paying my money, and I usually try to buy good tickets. If you guys are both champions, we should be seeing a title fight. It is what it is. I just believe that it means more when you guys are fighting for your belts, not fighting for an undefeated record like the way they promote Danny Garcia. He's defending his undefeated record. What is that, So that's actually the reason why I didn't go. I didn't want to support that and pay my money for guys that are champions that should be fighting for their titles.
No, that's actually a very good point, which makes me bring this up, right? Why should you spend your hard-earned money that you work for when they don't even want to work is their profession to make the weight, right? Garcia openly saying, wow, it's tough to make 140. And I mean, when have you heard a champion complain about it? That's insane. I just fought at 140 in my last fight. I don't know. It's a hassle to make the weight. And Peter Quillin, 1.4 pounds is a lot, dude.
Yeah.
Right. And somebody brought up this point. It was Dwyer. All right. For those that are not subscribed to Dwyer, great channel. He made the point. Just for him to act as if he had a shot to make the weight when you were 1.4 pounds, why not just let people know ahead of time, I'm not going to make weight, It's just the charades of it. And the reason is because they know. Peter Quillin knows I don't have to go to Ireland to fight Andy Lee no matter what the consequences, right? It's crazy. Andy Lee fought him in his hometown, and you didn't make the weight, and he's the one with the belt. So, not to interject there, but
no,
I want to throw that in.
Yeah, it is a big deal. This is when, we got all these fights coming up. Okay, you got Matthysse and Provotnikov next week, this weekend coming up. I bought tickets for that. You have Klitschko and Jennings in Barclays too. That's going to be in New York. And then we have Floyd Pacquiao. I have to budget my money here. I can't go to every single fight. So this was a great card. You know, even the undercards that wasn't televised, they were great fights. You had Errol Spence on there. You had Victor Postol. You had Louis Collazo. You had a lot of big names on the undercard on there. And I really want to see these guys. But at the end of the day, the main event is not a title fight. You got two fighters in there that are both titleists, and they're not defending their title. I think it's ridiculous. I think it does matter because it's no guarantee that it's going to be a good fight. There's no guarantee. It's a good matchup, but there's no guarantee that it wasn't a great fight. Actually, the Lee Quillin fight was the better fight, and I thought that was going to be the more technical fight between the two fights if we're sitting here trying to compare. So, and that wasn't even a title fight now because of Quillin not making weight. So that's my thoughts on it, you know.
So let's talk about that fight, Lee versus Quillin, right? Quillin didn't make weight. However, I still anticipated Quillin to still do his thing, and I thought he was going to dominate this fight and win it. That's not what happened, but which is sometimes it's not a bad thing to be wrong. I was pleasantly surprised. But to my surprise, a lot of people on Twitter and social media were complaining about how the fight was boring. I don't know what fight they were watching. I mean, I thought it was an exciting fight. They were both throwing with mean intentions.
Right.
And they were being economical with their punches, right? But they were trying to find a good shot, and they were both guys could punch. I hope people at home know that, right? So yes, they were a little cautious at times, but not very cautious. They were both standing right in front of each other. We got to see knockdowns. You know, this is the age where you see 3 knockdowns in a fight and people call it boring. I mean, I don't know. I enjoyed the fight.
I love the fight.
What did you think about the fight?
I love the fight. I thought it was a great fight. I honestly believe that it was a great fight. Now going into the fight, I knew it was going to be close. I thought Quillin was going to win by controversial decision. Okay, I thought. I assumed Lee was going to get knocked out at some point because he's kind of chinny, and Peter Quillin got power in both hands. As far as Quillin getting hurt, I figured he was going to get hurt. I didn't think he was going to get knocked down. He never been knocked down before. So, I didn't know what to really expect, but I knew it was going to be very close, and I thought Quillin was going to win by a controversial decision. Now, as far as the fight being boring, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how people could say that. There were gaps in there since it was a technical fight and they were measuring each other for the majority of the rounds. Right. I can see where people were saying, there was points where it was kind of boring, but these guys were very cautious. There was no holding in the fight. Okay. There was very clean punching in this fight. Both of these guys, whenever they land, it was bombs. It was clean. Andy Lee would land the right hook. It would daze Quillin a little bit. He would back up. And then you saw Andy Lee. He got knocked down a few times or a couple times. I thought it was a great fight all the way through. I mean, I loved the fight. I loved it.
I enjoyed the fight too. I mean, I want to know what the subscribers think, whether you guys thought it was exciting or not. I thought it was a great fight.
Yeah.
I was expecting to go on Twitter and see people say, "Oh, this is a great fight," and I'm hearing the opposite. And I'm like, did they not see like the first round? Like, did they not see like Lee like coming back and you had the back and forth? I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a great fight. The decision, look, I mean, personally, I'd have a problem with a draw. When I watched it live, I kind of felt like Lee pulled it off, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much of that was me just being angry at Quillin for not making weight, right? It's just being honest, right? I don't know how much of that played a role because I was kind of pulling for Andy Lee. So it may have been a bias, right? I have to rewatch it, but the draw, I'm perfectly fine with the draw. Or if Quillin had just pulled it off, I would be fine with that. What did you think about the decision?
I wasn't mad at it at all. I think when I first saw it, I thought Peter still might have done more to win. I did not think the second knockdown was a knockdown. Okay, I don't think it should have been ruled a knockdown. And then there was some, I believe, during Garcia fight, they were explaining how the judge gave it a 10-9 round because I don't know what the reason was. I don't know if he didn't believe. I don't know the cause of the 10-9 round. It wasn't a 10-8 for Quillin, and that's part of the reason why it was a draw. But the cards were similar to the Pacquiao Marquez fight, where the judge actually gave 10-7 instead of 10-6, what it should have been. But I wasn't mad at all, man. It was very close, and like I said, I thought they were gonna give it to Quillin. I was very shocked that it was a draw. Those rounds are really close, even the ones that I gave to. And I'm like you, man. I was very upset with Quillin. I'm kind of rooting for Andy Lee. I was kind of like, I wanted him to win. I liked his attitude going this way, even after he found out Quillin was, didn't make weight. I just kind of wanted him to keep his title. Well, he was keeping it anyway, but I kind of wanted him to win and not lose the fight and keep the title. So I don't know. I wasn't mad at the draw at all. It was very close.
Yeah.
It was too close.
Which, by the way, I mean, if Quillin wants to redeem himself, what better way than actually making weight in a rematch and fighting Andy Lee in his home country of Ireland?
Yeah, going out
Right?
there and beating him. That's what he should do.
That's what I think too. You know what I mean? So let's talk about the next fight. Let me first tell you what my prediction was. I honestly thought that Peterson was going to do what he did in the second half of the fight from round one.
Right.
I should have probably known better because Quillin is notoriously a slow starter for what it's worth, right? But it plays to his favor because if Quillin could get past, I'm sorry, not Quillin, Peterson. If Peterson could get past the first half of the fight with you, he is a pain in the you-know-what in the second half of the fight.
Right.
It was for Ortiz, it was for Khan, and I like the way he could just adjust. If he can't beat you on the outside, he'll to the inside. Although I thought he was having a lot of success, even more than I thought he would on the outside against Garcia. I think some of the earlier rounds were close. Garcia's best round to me was round one, probably. But I honestly believe around round five, I was like, Peterson doesn't need to change anything. The one that needs to make the adjustment here is Garcia, right? But I don't know if it was the crowd or what exactly influenced Peterson to kind of change what he was doing. But then he started to get more aggressive, and it went from outclassing Garcia to beating the dog shit out of Garcia. To me, that's the way I saw it. Like he went from one way to beating him to then beating him another way. Like he beat him two ways in the fight. Yeah. I gave Garcia maybe 3 rounds in this fight.
I was watching some of it now, the earlier rounds, because those are the rounds that I was watching it, but I was on the road. So, I was watching it. I was trying to watch it on my phone. So I want to say I saw about 80% of the fight last night. So I'm watching the earlier rounds. It's, Peterson, you can make I think Danny won the first round. I do think I gave him the edge for the first round. Those rounds in between 2 to 5, I thought they were very debatable. I thought Peterson, and this goes to the whole Lara Canelo thing now, because Peterson was definitely outboxing him, but he wasn't doing enough to clearly win the rounds. Okay, most of his shots that he was landing were jabs, whereas Danny was landing, a couple shots, a couple right hands over the top, a couple body shots here and there. Those are the rounds that are up in the air. Now, when they actually started fighting in the 6th round, I thought Peterson was dominating Danny, which I wasn't expecting. I was expecting the same thing you said. Peterson can be very aggressive. I thought he was going to keep the fight very close between the two, the space, and smother Danny. And when he started to do it, I'm just like wondering, why did he go so many rounds with just making it debatable? Okay, I mean, even if you're giving Peterson the rounds, because he's definitely frustrating Danny, making him miss, and there was a couple of those rounds in the second half of the fight where Peterson went back to fighting that way, and I'm like, you can beat him by standing in front of him. You were beating him up. Even I think it was like the 11th or 10th round, Peterson was beating him so bad that I thought they were going to actually stop it, or he was going to hurt Danny at some point, like bad, or knock him down. So I think Peterson won the fight, but it was so many rounds that I think he just threw away and made it. They made it debatable. But the rounds that he won, he clearly won. Like, he beat him down. So that's how I feel about that fight.
Yeah, Peterson is such a good fighter when he fights on the inside.
Yeah.
I think I can't believe he takes that long for whatever. I mean, I don't know. I'm not his trainer. I'm not an expert, but he takes a while to kind of, I don't know, get the engine going or something, right? It happened in the Khan fight. It happened in this fight, right? The only difference, though, is this. When Peterson was fighting Khan on the outside, it was clear to me that Peterson even admitted it. I was in Rope-A-Dope Radio at the time in an interview there with Joe Habib. By the way, shout out, okay? The interview there, Peterson admitted it. I was getting outboxed from the outside. So I had to make it a dogfight. I had to get inside, right? The difference here is I just don't think Garcia was dealing very good with a boxing on the outside. I don't think he was dealing real good with it. But I will agree that Peterson was doing such a better job on the inside. He was beating the hell out of Garcia on the inside. And I think we have literally found the weakness to Garcia, and that's the inside. He does not have a very good inside game at all. If anything, that's why he beat Matthysse. Matthysse is not known for fighting on the inside, really. Yeah. I mean, he fights from a mid-range. If you fight from mid-range or from the outside, Garcia can definitely catch you with that hook. You fight on the inside, that mid-range hook of his is nullified at that point. I mean, any fighter that knows that now has seen the Herrera fight and seen the second half of this Quillin fight, and they know that there's a way to beat this guy. And in my opinion, he's lost 2 times now. But ultimately, how did you, more or less, how did you have the fight? Did you have Peterson winning?
I had Peterson winning the fight. I thought Peterson beat him up. I think Peterson did more than Garcia. Now, I didn't do a scorecard, all right?
Right.
To make it a round-by-round thing, I can see rounds that people can give to Danny, but those rounds, they weren't really effective rounds to me. Danny never looked good in the fight to me. He never really gave it. It's rounds you could, I'll give Danny the round. And it's rounds where Peterson beat him down. Right. I thought, the rounds that Peterson won, which were a lot, it was a lot of rounds, especially in the second half. I thought Peterson clearly won the round, but, we know how the game is done. We know how these fights are scored. And I was very upset that Peterson even gave him that much time. There's a lot. I think Danny looks he looks very, very stationary to me now. I don't think it's just his inside game, because for the most part, Herrera was just outboxing the kid, and from the outside too. And I think he's very limited, Danny. I think Danny needs these guys to be coming straight forward at him, and for him to be able to land that left hook that he likes to throw. When he doesn't have that weapon, which he didn't in this fight, he really didn't have it. He's very limited. He's very limited. I mean, even Raul Salka, when he was boxing, he was fighting with Raul Salka, he was able to just put his head down and just keep throwing the left hook until he knocked him out. When he's fighting guys this advanced, he's not able to do it. And I'm worried about him at 147. I don't know what he's going to do against guys like a Thurman that moves well and can box on the outside and have power on it at the same time. What is he going to do when he fights those guys, If he fought Chris Algieri last night, I think Algieri would have beat him last night, from the outside.
That's possible.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, I think Maidana beats his ass.
Oh, yeah, I seen that call out.
Maidana will get on the inside. It's a wrap for him.
Yeah.
And he's got a chin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't see how Danny could deal with with that type of fighter, like somebody who can fight. I could see Brandon Rios, as crazy as it sounds, I could see Brandon Rios giving Danny Garcia a lot of problems because he fights on the inside. The inside fighting is, and I think if they were to have a rematch, there's no doubt in my mind, Peterson would just get on the inside and make it a dogfight and there's nothing Danny could do.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, I just don't see anything in Danny's game that cries out, I could fight on the inside. You know,
This is
but
why he's not moving up. I think they're aware of this. This is why they
right.
fought Rosalka. You know, he needed to gain some confidence and get the people to believe in him again. This is why he's fighting that catch weight in between the weights. I think he knows this. You know, I think this is why he didn't want to fight this kid Victor Postal. I think they feel like they're backed against the wall right now because he can't make weight anymore. He has to defend his titles. He doesn't want to go to 147. He's trapped, you know. I don't know what he's gonna do, you know. I don't know.
The last thing I wanted to say about the fight, which I thought was hilarious, was because when Peterson was fighting on the outside, they were, you know how the PBC does a whole interview with the trainer during or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were interviewing Danny's dad, and Danny's dad's like, he's just running. That's all he's doing. He's just running. He's running. He's running. And like the next round, Peterson is coming forward, and what is Danny doing? Did Danny stand in the middle of the ring and bang with him? No, he started to back up.
Yeah.
If what I want to ask people that had Danny Garcia winning this fight because Peterson was running, what do you call what Danny Garcia was doing in the second half of the fight? He was the one on his back foot.
Right.
You know, I mean, and he was forced on his back foot. It wasn't by design. So what was he doing in the 12th round when Peterson was coming after his ass? I mean, I just don't, you know, he was actually trying to get away. You know, it wasn't by design. So I found it interesting, man. And I'm not one to just point out because that doesn't always tell the story of the fight. Right. It really doesn't. But look at their faces after the fight. I mean, one guy went to the club, the other one went to the hospital. You know what I mean? I think that says it all.
Yeah, I actually tweeted that. Peterson looked like he did a quick workout, and that was it. You know, Danny looked pretty bad. You know, and someone made a point like, well, look at Cotto. Cotto's face bruises easily. You know, Danny's face just bruised easily. And I'm like, nah. Danny just wasn't effective throughout the fight. He wasn't. And when they were banging, and even in that last round when they both, I mean, Danny showed a lot of heart. I mean, he kept fighting. He was getting beat up pretty bad. But, dude, Peterson was overwhelming him, man. He was beating him. I was like, I thought the fight was going to get stopped at one point. I'm like, Danny's not going to be able to stick around for too long, you know. And I think Peterson won, man, hands down. I think he won the fight, you know. I don't think it wasn't at – I thought the Mauricio Herrera fight was a little bit more clear still, though. I thought that was I think
it was
a wide win for Herrera, you know, where
he consistently like did the same thing for 12 rounds.
Exactly.
Where Peterson kind of switched it up a little.
Exactly. That's the only reason why. But I think even in this fight, you know, Danny was actually getting backed up because Herrera's not a big puncher, and Peterson is a pretty respectable puncher. And just like you said, it was more consistent with Herrera than it was with Peterson.
You know, before we move on to the Matthysse Provotnikov, I want to talk about this whole running thing because I'm getting sick of this. I really am. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that there's no such thing as fighters that do not want to engage. Okay. But when a fighter is landing more punches than you, landing more than you, and he hack foot, that's not running. Right. If a fighter's getting his ass beat, but he's just trying to avoid engagement, then that's different. Right. And I don't understand why fans can't tell the difference. I really don't. Right. But, you know, like Algieri fought off his back foot and he beat Provotnikov that way. We talked about Lara is a good example. That's how he beat Angulo off his back foot. He was fighting backing up. Mm-hmm. That's just the way a lot of boxers have fought for a long time, man. Like, I guess, like, you know, why is it that Danny Garcia is complaining, well, not Danny, but his dad, or I don't know what Danny said after the fight, but, you know, that he's running. Why didn't you know why we didn't hear Matthysse complain about Lamont Peterson running? Because he cut off the ring and he took care of business.
Exactly.
Well, you know, when you take care of business, you don't have anything to complain about, right?
Right. Yeah. I think these fighters know, and I think the fans that watch the sport, I think they know too. I think they're just being biased. A a lot of them, some of them do believe it's running. You know, some of them believe that if you're not standing right in front of a guy and exchanging the entire time, it's running. But there's people that are just being biased. There's people that know what's going on here, and that's what they're gonna go with. You know, Angel, of course, that's his son. He's watching his son lose, and when they ask him about it, he's gonna say, "Oh, this guy was running." You know, they asked Danny about it. Oh, he was running. We know that's not the case. He was not running. Okay, he was moving. When he was moving, he was shooting a jab. You know, I thought he could have been more active, but it wasn't running. You know, we've seen running before. Running is usually what Floyd does in the 12th round. You know, I thought
he basically gives up the round because he whitewashed.
Exactly. Yeah, that wasn't running to me. So
Deloya Trinidad, the last 4 rounds, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That was running to me. That was not effective. You know, he was just, I'm not going to fight anymore. I got this fight on, you know, I won the fight and I'm not going to fight anymore. That's running to me, not this fight.
The problem I have is the insinuation that this guy doesn't want to fight. That's what they're basically insinuating.
Yeah.
Right? So my only thing would be is if he was running, then why is it when he was right in front of him in the second half of the fight that Danny Garcia started backing up? You know, like if you wanted him to just come forward, why didn't you come forward? You know, it's the hypocrisy is amazing to me. But
yeah, I agree.
Talking about guys coming forward, next weekend, Matthysse versus Provotnikov, right?
Yep.
This is honestly, when they first announced this fight, my first instinct was, Matthisse's got this, right? But then I started to think about it, and I'm not too sure. Like, I haven't made up my mind yet. Like, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I think Provotnikov is gonna. I wouldn't say it's an upset, but most people think Matthysse is gonna win this fight. I think Provotnikov is gonna win. I'm actually going to this fight. Provotnikov is, you know, he's the guys that he lost to are guys that strictly outboxed him. You know, they basically survived against them and they gave them the decision. You know, this is not going to be the case. Okay. Matthysse do have good boxing skills. He's the better boxer between the two of them, but Matthysse likes to fight and he's a big puncher. Right. I did a video and I think it's going to be a case on who's more durable. And in that case, Provotnikov is clearly the more durable fighter. One point someone made up to brought to me though is that Matthysse is a good body puncher, and we never see anyone really attack Provotnikov to the body. Okay, they never go to the body. They just punch him in his face the whole time, and he just sticks his tongue out and keep walking forward. I would like to see Matthysse go to the body. I think that's his best chance of winning. If not, I think Provotnikov is going to destroy him. I really believe he's going to destroy Matthysse.
Destruction. You know, like this is what I see, man. With a guy like Lucas Matthysse and a Provotnikov, I've never seen somebody like beat them at their own game. Like, you know what I mean? And that's why this fight is intriguing to me. They've been beat, right? But they've been beat by like a style that's not like what they're going to face this Saturday. That's or next Saturday, which is why it's intriguing, right?
Yeah. Dream match. It's a dream.
Yeah, like this is like two bulls going at it. There's no matador in this, right, with horns. They're locking in, right? They're coming at each other like two trains. You know, like chicken, when two cars are driving at each other, that's what this is. And none of them are going to move out of the way. It's going to be a collision, right? I do think that Matthysse can box a little more and maybe use his back foot a little bit, although it's just not something he does, right? Matthysse is used to, when he hits something flush, he is used to watching it crumble, right? Guys who have beat him, avoiding getting hit clean and stuff, right? But even like in the Danny Garcia fight, there was that one shot he landed on Garcia that his mouthpiece flew out, right? Yeah. And it was almost like, it was like, damn, I finally hit him and he's still here, right? So is that going to happen in the Provotnikov fight? Because I could honestly see either guy giving their best shot and the dude is still in front of him, and they're like, okay, what do I do now? I just got to keep hitting them. You know, so I don't see this fight going the distance. Okay, forget that. It's not going to go the distance no matter who wins, right? They're either going to stop it on some form of cuts, right, or a stoppage, a TKO, or somebody's going to sleep.
Right.
This is going to sound crazy to some people. I'm just going to go off a limb here, but I think Matthysse is going to knock out Provotnikov. Like, I think he's going to do it, right? I think he's going to knock him out.
Wow. Has Provotnikov ever been really hurt before or down?
You know, I don't know if he's ever been hurt as far as, you know, visibly hurt, right? As we talked about, they've both been beat, but I don't think either guy has ever been, like, dramatically hurt to where, like, they couldn't take it anymore. No, right? But it's going to happen to one of them in this fight. Somebody's soul is going to be yanked out of their chest in this fight, you know?
Yeah.
Because they're going to be beat at their own game. And there's nothing more humiliating to a fighter than getting beat at what you do best, right? So,
yeah, it's a tough one to call. I just think that I don't know, Provotnikov is so aggressive, man, and I really think Matthysse. I don't know, man. It's close. Like I said, I'm going for Provotnikov, and I think he's gonna destroy him. I actually think that, but we'll see, man. We'll see. You know, I love the fight though. This is a dream match.
because here's my thing. If Provotnikov could eat Matthyse's punches like Skittles, like it's no big deal, right? Matthysse is in trouble. There's no doubt, right? But that's going to be the thing. How are his punches going to affect Provotnikov?
Yeah, right.
Matthysse is probably the hardest puncher Provotnikov's ever fought.
Oh yeah, without
right?
it.
So
yeah,
and he's going to land flush. You know he's going to land flush. Round one, he will be landing flush on Provotnikov. And I'm just flipping the coin here. I think it's going to land heads. I think it's going to hurt Provotnikov. But by the end of round one, I'll know who's going to win the fight.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll know really early. And I really don't see the fight going past 7 rounds. I think it's going to be an early night for us.
I'm interested to know what the over-under is in Vegas for this fight.
Yeah, me too. You know, no idea.
I'm interested to know. Because I'll rather take the over-under in this fight than picking either guy, because I think this is a pick 'em fight, in my opinion. This is a tough fight to call. It really is.
Definitely. I just know it's going to be a knockdown or a knockout. Yeah, I really doubt these guys go 12 rounds. Like, what are they going to do going 12 rounds, you know? Both of these guys hit too hard. And I said the same thing. I agree with you. I never seen Provotnikov. This is the reason why I wanted this fight. I never see Provotnikov fight a big puncher. Okay, we see that he's durable. He can take a lot of punches to the head, but he's never fighting guys with big punches. Tim Bradley, Herrera, Algieri, you know, all these guys he fought, you know, he just walked right through them, you know.
I mean, they could stop the fight on cuts for Provotnikov because he cuts easy, you know, so.
That's true, too.
He got cut by some guys that don't punch that hard, you know.
Yeah.
At some point, these guys with great chins, their chin runs out, man. Like Andrade at 168, it ran out at some point.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a wrap for him, man. But there you go, guys. You know, do you have anything else you want to add, Boxing Wave?
Nah, not really. You know, hopefully, as far as Premier Boxing Champions, they got to get it together with this whole weight thing, you know, and these non-title fights. They're great matchups, but I'm not supporting these guys that are champions. It should be a unification match. I'm not supporting these guys not defending their titles. You know, that's just pretty much it. I mean, the matchups are great. They need to change the music. How were you? I wasn't digging the music, the ring interest music. What was that about? You know.
I don't know, man. It's like they just want to keep it PG, you know. Like we're not even gonna risk it.
Yeah.
You know?
But
we're not gonna have Broner walk out and rap it along. No, we're just gonna walk out.
Yeah.
You know.
But
yeah, but I agree with that, man. Like they can't, like, you know what's funny to me is that they're talking about how the belts don't matter, right? But at the same time, like they show Deontay Wilder in the crowd and they're like, look, the heavyweight champion of the world. Deontay Wilder. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to have Wilder on PBC and call him the heavyweight champ, then all these other guys got to be champs too. Can't pretend that they're not champions or something. Just when fans say that we care about great fights, not necessarily, the titles, that doesn't mean like get rid of the titles. That means we want great fights for the titles. You know what I mean? Like, I guess they're going from one extreme to another to me, and
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm tired of there being 4 champs in every division, 3 or 4 champs. That's I don't.
Right.
I don't know, but anyway, that's it, man. That's all I got to say.
All right, guys, tell us what you think. Make sure you go ahead and follow Boxing Wave. I'll go ahead and leave a link under the description box once this goes archive. All right, thanks, guys. Peace out.
Take care. Take care.